Oh, honey, you better sit down for this one because the royal teacup just exploded. The palace curtains are shaking, the press is foaming at the mouth, and Meghan and Harry, they are furious. It all started with whispers, hushed tones echoing through Buckingham Palace, but baby, those whispers have now become sirens, the kind you can't ignore even if you try. News just broke that royal auditors allegedly uncovered major financial messes tied to Meghan and Harry's pride and joy, the Archwell Foundation. And we're not talking minor typos or a few cents off the books. No. We're talking millions of dollars vanished. Poof, gone without a trace. And what happened when those findings got passed along to the big dogs? The regulators, they didn't waste time. They came down hard. So hard that the Archwell Foundation was basically told, shut it all down immediately. Behind palace doors, the tension was suffocating. This wasn't just about a balance sheet. This was about the family's legacy, the crown's honor, and betrayal from within.
Did you see my baby mama dance?
I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you the timing of that, we maybe watched it like 20 times yesterday, and I was like, is that her?
Oh my God.
Is that Prince Harry there with the fingers and the, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, by the way, that wasn't yesterday.
No,
that was 4 years ago. So it's also a really great reminder that with all the noise or whatever people do, there's still a whole life, a real, authentic, fun life that's happening behind the scenes. I'm just grateful that now, being back on social as well, I have a place where I can share it on my own terms.
Now let's be clear, the royal family knows how to deal with scandal. That's practically a family tradition. But this was different. This wasn't some love triangle or leaked tabloid story. This was the unraveling of a public charity, the very thing Harry and Meghan paraded around as their shining badge of honor. Their proof to the world that they weren't just royal runaways, they were philanthropists. Changemakers. The headlines were vicious and the world was split. Did Harry and Meghan actually let millions in donations go missing, or was this a savage retaliation from the royal institution they left behind? But girl, when you look at the facts, the Sussex brand wasn't just at risk, it was spiraling.
Everybody says she's a bully, she's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about the end of every episode. It says, like the starring, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Yes, that's how she's.
There's a real delight in being able to be a present parent. And it's a luxury sometimes because we all have to work. We all have a lot of stuff to do, but when you can take a minute to just...
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard.
Let's get to the receipts because the numbers do not lie. In 2021, Archwell was flying high, pulling in a whopping $13 million, 0 cents, in donation. That's elite nonprofit territory. With that kind of cash, there were expectations, transparency, results, integrity. But by 2022, the money train screeched to a halt. Just $2 million, 0 cents came in. That's not a dip, that's a financial cliff dive. Analysts were scrambling. What happened? Where did the support go? Donors didn't just disappear, they withdrew trust. Some experts blamed it on Meghan and Harry's overexposure. Too many interviews, too many docuseries, too much drama, not enough delivery.
As ever, her new company, the very first thing she said was, look, when I had the TIG, which was her previous lifestyle website, I loved cooking and I loved gardening and being a hostess, and that she basically said I had to keep my light under a bushel at this time because of the royal family. Then we get her show, her Netflix show.
Wanting to exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. And I think what King Charles should do, he should just strip them of the titles.
Others claimed something darker. Maybe donors saw cracks in the foundation. Maybe they noticed the receipts weren't adding up. Was it shady optics? Total mismanagement? Something just wasn't right. And the worst part, this donation crash would have been a scandal on its own, but baby, it was just the beginning.
Her creativity being stunted. She says that when, she first, and, as a result of the royal family, she says that when she became a mum, she would have thought that she'd be able to have a baby on her hip and give speeches, but then, the whole drama and the pain and everything that was caused by being part of the royal family.
Mornings are as I get the kids off to school. You're making fruit parfait crudité boards? Like
my God.
whom? She's Harry Sussex. I have no idea. And no, Meghan, no one knew that. Like, why are you correct?
Then came the bombshell whispers. Nearly $10.00 to $16 million 0 cents in grants and outside donations never showed up in Archwell's public records. Excuse me? Big donors like Fidelity Charitable and Tis Best Philanthropy had clear receipts showing they handed money to Archwell. But when investigators opened Archwell's books, crickets. The phrase that haunted insiders, the black hole. That's what they were calling it. Money that went in, but never showed up again. No tax records, no financial statements, no impact reports, just vanished. And then regulators got involved. Was it a clerical screw-up, a case of unreported gifts, or gulp? Was it intentional? Insiders whispered about shell companies, sketchy payments to consultants, and inter-account transfers that smelled off. Even Buckingham Palace couldn't stay quiet, but instead of denials, there was just silence. That heavy, deafening kind of silence that tells you everything you need to know. And just when everyone thought the drama peaked, boom.
It was, if we're going to use the word betrayal, it's because when I asked him, which is also a really key point in all this, they don't report the news, they create the news.
This series, and they'll believe it. They'll believe the smears about Britain and our monarchy, that we're a bunch of bigoted and hateful people. They even blamed Brexit for the racism which apparently was aimed at Meghan Markle, which is just completely absurd. But by far the most sickening part of this show for me was the constant use of Harry's.
On May 13th, 2024, the California Attorney General pulled the trigger. Archwell was officially labeled delinquent, meaning the charity was banned from collecting or spending even a penny in California. And why? Because of a missing $200 0 cents registration fee. Yes, you read that right, just $200 0 cents. The cost of a fancy dinner in Montecito. That little slip-up sent the entire foundation crashing down.
About to. If you excuse the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews with everyone from Oprah Winfrey to James Corden. But they've barely been seen or heard at all, have they? Well, on Thursday, they'll quietly and apologetically release their $100 million.
She talks like she's a one-woman band. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens to her.
And still being a mom.
That is
still
not
being a
what's happened
mom.
to her.
And here's the real kicker. It didn't matter if it was $2 0 cents or $200 0 cents. California's Registry of Charitable Trusts plays no games. When that non-compliance stamp hits, it's lights out. Fundraising frozen, spending halted, reputation wrecked. Of course, Meghan and Harry's team scrambled. They claimed the check was mailed, that it got lost, that it was all a technical glitch. But baby, this ain't a lemonade stand. This is a multi-million-dollar, celebrity-backed global charity with accountants, lawyers, consultants on speed dial. Losing track of a filing fee? That wasn't just sloppy. It looked negligent, or worse, suspicious. And while Archwell tried to pick up the pieces in California, London was brewing a scandal of nuclear proportions. So just when Meghan and Harry were trying to mop up the mess in California, another storm hit them right in the crown. And this one came from inside the palace. Word on the royal street, King Charles was done. Months of side eyes and silent suspicion had finally reached a boiling point. And baby, he didn't just raise an eyebrow, he dropped the hammer. Insiders say Charles personally ordered a full-blown audit into the Sussex's charity dealings. Yep. This wasn't just some casual glance over financial statements. This was a forensic deep dive. Investigators were pulling receipts from every corner. Donation slips, wire transfers, overseas payments, third-party consultant fees, every last detail. And the findings? Chilling. Sources close to the audit team didn't mince words. One reportedly gasped, "It's worse than we imagined." What they uncovered painted a picture that was anything but charitable. Payments allegedly rerouted through shell companies, some with offshore ties. Glaring gaps between publicly known donation numbers and what Archwell actually reported. Unexplained international transfers with zero record of where the money landed or what it was even for. And just like that, the walls of Archwell began to shake. Even inside Buckingham Palace, the silence turned ominous. One aide reportedly muttered, "We knew this day would come." Oh, but it didn't stop there. Not even close, because once the palace got a whiff of this mess, regulatory bodies in both the US and UK were allegedly tipped off. Quiet emails, encrypted calls, private meetings behind locked doors. Everyone was suddenly very, very interested in what was going on behind Archwell's curtain. No official investigations have been confirmed publicly yet, but the signs? They're blaring like Big Ben at midnight. Silent cooperation between departments, sudden crackdowns on charity rules, emergency boardroom briefings. This is the calm before a legal hurricane. And if even half of what the palace found turns out to be true, oh, honey, this won't be just another headline. It'll be the downfall of Archwell, a total collapse. And what did Meghan and Harry do as the scandal grew teeth and started gnawing at their empire? They went on defense, fast. In a move that screamed PR emergency, Team Sussex released updated IRS filings for 2023. They said Archwell brought in $5,300,000 0 cents that year, a big bounce back from the previous disaster. Of that, they claimed $1,300,000. 0 cents went to charitable programs. The rest spent on salaries, admin costs, legal fees, and internal operations, whatever that means. Their message: we're still doing good work. Don't believe the smear. But the internet has eyes, and nonprofit watchdogs weren't buying it. One look at those filings and the math started throwing shade. Only 24% of the money actually went to helping anyone, just 24%, for a charity that's supposed to be all about impact, love, service. That's borderline embarrassing. The rest went to what exactly? Critics pounced. Social media erupted. Where did the rest of the money go? They demanded. What causes are they supporting besides their own brand? And honey, the damage was done. The public started turning. All those donors who once rallied behind the golden couple, now questioning everything. Every Instagram post, every heartfelt speech, every charity video montage. Because suddenly, it wasn't about cute African school visits or feel-good sound bites anymore. It was about the truth, the cold, hard financial truth. And as the scrutiny grew, so did the pressure. Supporters of the Sussexes clung to Archwell's glossy impact reports, filled with infographics, glowing testimonials, and heartwarming photos. Look, they cried, the money is doing good. But Charity Watch, one of the fiercest watchdogs in the biz, wasn't having it. They flat out said that a crash in donations, shady reporting, and regulatory red flags don't just happen by accident. Not when you're handling millions. Not when you're Meghan and Harry. And then came the cherry on top. Even their biggest contracts started slipping. Spotify cut ties. Netflix reportedly began restructuring its Sussex projects. The brand wasn't just in trouble, it was unraveling. This wasn't about a lost check anymore. This was a brand crisis. Because if even a fraction of this scandal proves to be true, if donor money really got rerouted through secret companies or buried under vague paperwork, then Meghan and Harry aren't just risking public embarrassment, they're flirting with legal destruction. We're talking permanent bans on soliciting donations, financial penalties in the millions, and in the worst case scenario, forced dissolution of the Archwell Foundation itself. Yes, you heard that right. Dissolution. That's not just a slap on the wrist, that's a guillotine drop. That's wiping Archwell off the map and branding Meghan and Harry as royal grifters. And let's be real, if that happens, their entire public image goes up in smoke. Because what do Meghan and Harry actually sell? Not clothes, not cars, not software. They sell an image, a promise, a fairy tale. They sell compassion, truth, resilience, a dream of modern royalty. That's their brand. And without public trust, that brand is dead. If donors walk away, then so do the speaker deals, the Netflix contracts, the podcast money. One leaked memo, one public charge, one press conference, boom, everything crumbles. And in this industry, you rarely get a second chance. If the Sussexes knew this, they built their empire on emotional currency. And now, it's all being questioned. Once, they were untouchable, the rebels who left the monarchy to do good in the world. They were survivors, disruptors, icons of change. But now, they're being whispered about as frauds, as manipulators, as financial fugitives of trust. That's a title that burns deeper than any tabloid rumor. And the headlines? Oh, sweetie, they're merciless. Royal grifters. Millions vanish under Meghan's watch. charity scandal explodes. This isn't just bad press, it's a full-blown media siege, and it's only getting louder because public opinion doesn't wait for the final report. All it takes is one sketchy financial gap and the court of public judgment hands down its sentence. And what's really on the line here? Not just Archwell, not just donations, but the entire identity Meghan and Harry have spent years crafting. They told the world they left the royal family to make a difference, to serve, to uplift the forgotten. They said Archwell was the heart of that dream. But if Archie is now a mess of missing millions, fake promises, and suspicious silence, then what does that say about the rest? Was it all just a performance? Was compassion just a costume? Because if so, this isn't just about shutting down a charity, it's about exposing a lie. And now the question everyone's asking is, where does it end? Will there be a quiet settlement behind closed doors? Will their lawyers manage a last-minute spin campaign? Or is this the start of a total takedown, with frozen assets, court subpoenas, and the final collapse of the Sussex empire? Only time will tell. But make no mistake, darling, this scandal has pierced through the heart of the Sussex fairy tale. And if Meghan and Harry can't take back the narrative, and fast, then the next round of headlines won't be about healing or rebuilding. They'll be about ruin. Because when the palace turns on you, there's no walking back.